So like the other night, it's like, 1 a.m. I get this crazy text from Head. It's a picture of just an audio timeline, the waveform. It's all chopped up, all crazy. It looks like a maniacs went in there with a chainsaw. And it just says, Paul, this is a mess. And that's all it says. So that's how good Head's editing job has been the last week or so, editing this last Tots episode.
Keith.
I think he probably has a new respect for you having to do it every week. Head and I always joke around when you're not listening and always say stuff like, I think Paul does all of the work on this thing usually, and we just sit there and talk, but now he got a little taste of it.
Keith,
which is why it's always late.
Oh, whatever, because you're doing shit. Keith, you can see the visual spikes of when people talk for the whole conversation I had with my friend. And you can see her little spikes here and there of when she's talking. And then, of course, mine, it just looks like a huge mountain. And it just continues pretty much right over all of her, over her talking. I'm just like blabbing all over her talking, trying to get a sentence out. So, I've tried to edit it down a little bit, but... yeah, I guess I wouldn't really call it an interview because I think I feel it's like a little bit more on the personal side, but I'd say it was a good phone conversation with one of my good friends about something that's important, and I think people will like it.
You are deliberately forgetting who you really are. You are deliberately forgetting who you really are.
So, Tots, what's happening? It's good to talk to you.
Hey, man. Nothing, Just trying to get through COVID and work. It's been kind of an interesting ride. I feel like I'm the only one who's still going to work while everybody's off. I'm kind of living the opposite of everyone during COVID right now. I'm working more.
Everything just got shut down where you're at over in Hawaii?
Yeah, man, they keep shutting down the islands. I think they're trying to figure out how to keep the islands as safe as possible. Our numbers were so low at the beginning, and then they kind of skyrocketed up a little bit. So it's been this wave of numbers going up and down. So that, the government, the mayor, should we shut down the island? Should we not shut down the island? Let's quarantine. Let's not. So every 2 weeks it's different out here. So we never know where we're gonna get ourselves into.
And it's so funny. As soon as I heard that you guys were shutting down out there, it was right when we got the notice that California was opening back up. So it was like almost around the same week. I was like, what the hell? It's like, how they're, some states are shutting down while others are opening back up. It's like, why don't we get on some kind of a schedule, so we can just shut down all at once, Fucking crazy fuckers. So you got yourself a drink over there or what? You know how we do it over here on the podcast.
I got, I'm a Stella girl, usually, but one, didn't want to get out of my house, and two, there was already PBR in the fridge, so it's kind of like, black and white, you went from Stella to PBR, but it's refreshing.
You're like the opposite spectrum, but I'll put back 10 of them.
But, yeah. I'll just drink really, really fast.
For when I want to get hydrated and wasted at the same time. Water beer.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a refreshing beer.
That's awesome.
I think.
So Tots, I met you I was thinking about it earlier today. Kind of awkwardly. I think I was thinking about it in the shower, of all things. I was like, how long have I known Tots? And I was like, I've known I've been with my wife for 8 years now, which seems like a long time. And I go, and I know, and Tots was around when I met my wife, so it's been almost probably 9 years, I'd say.
Yes,
9 or almost 10 years.
Yeah, I think we're coming close on a decade of friendship, dude. Isn't that exciting?
Kind of crazy to think.
Yeah, because
it dates us a little bit.
Oh, it does. Oh, it did. Oh, look how that just happened. Almost 10 years.
Yeah,
dude.
I just thought it was kind of weird because when we both met each other, I would, I guess it would be fair to say that, like, we were both maybe not in the best of places, and we were definitely we were definitely enjoying life for what it was and taking advantage of all the opportunities out there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
So of course, the place to meet. We were both out in Vegas.
Working at a tattoo
Yeah,
shop.
working together at a tattoo shop, doing it up, living the life, trying out Vegas and all it has to offer.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a crazy run we both had. And I was kind of thinking earlier today, like where we were at. The shenanigans we were up to, the getting in trouble. You know what I mean? Kind of to today where I'm like, man,
Yes.
we're kind of fucking lame now,
It's like the beer thing, we went from drinking fellas to drinking PBRs.
Right.
We were out all night. We never slept. We partied. We were definitely taking advantage of what Vegas had to offer. And now I tend to the dogs. I'm in bed by 9:30, 10 at the latest.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Things have changed. We're a little healthier these days. We're healthier.
Right.
It's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. We're hydrated.
We're hydrated. There you
We
go.
definitely both had an interest in the same man, our boy Tony.
Yeah. It's those blue eyes. There's something about those blue eyes that just like reel you in.
Mr. Najjar, man, what a lucky catch.
I know. Look at us
You're
go.
a lucky
Look
lady.
at us.
I hope you know that.
You're a lucky man.
Well, of course, I know that for sure. I fucking tricked my wife for sure. So, we were partying in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Definitely getting into trouble, and we ended up kind of parting ways. I think me and Lo, we moved up to Seattle. You guys moved out to San Francisco
Yes.
for a little bit. You ended up in Hawaii.
I did.
How did that happen for you guys?
Tony had gotten a job opportunity in San Antonio. So on the road again.
Oh yeah, I totally
Packed up
forgot
the
that
car.
you guys spent a couple years out in San Antonio before Hawaii.
Yeah. So it was kind of crazy. It's funny because people always think we're military because we've bounced around a little bit.
It's all like
and we're
kind of
like,
military
no.
towns.
Like, no, we just have nowhere to go, really.
We're going where the
We're
money
so
is.
homeless.
Yeah.
Made our way down to San Antonio, and then after San Antonio. Tony was out there for a little bit working, and I was just, of course, just trying to find odd jobs here and there. That's really where the animal story comes from, but we'll go back to that later. So spent some time there, and then Tony got another job offer out in Hawaii. So his job has kind of been like one of those it's been one of those things that's made us travel and go out and live in new cities and be in new places. So definitely super fortunate for
Which
that.
is hard,
So when he
hard
got the
and
job
great
offer,
at the same time. You gotta
It
travel.
is.
You
It's
gotta
super
see.
difficult.
You're obviously living in Hawaii now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's good parts about it, but yeah, it's a different kind of
Right.
lifestyle, for sure.
It is. And it can get very difficult, right? Because the second that you finally build this nest for yourself, you have to take it apart and leave again. So the kid, it grows on you. It's tiring. So after San Antonio, Tony got a job offer in Hawaii. And I said no. I said, absolutely not. You're out of your mind. That's across the ocean, homeboy. There is no packing up the dogs and leaving this time. And if things don't work out, there's no running away. You're stuck.
Pineapples and coconuts.
Exactly. All right. So it was a hard no for me. And we'd never been to Hawaii. Before moving to Hawaii, I'd never been to Hawaii. I didn't even know how to swim yet. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, this
What
is all
the
pre-swimming.
what am I gonna do living on an island? I'm scared of the bathtub, let alone go live on an island.
How funny.
So whatever. Obviously, my hard no turned into like, oh great, we're on the plane with these dogs now. So we're on the plane. We've got two 80-pound dogs at our laps,
Awesome.
basically. Moved to Hawaii. And yeah, man. And now we're in Hawaii. We've been here now for 5 years. It's the longest we've ever lived anywhere. So it's been kind of crazy. We've definitely have built a nest, but I don't know, man. We're always just kind of itching for more.
Yeah.
As much as I hate change, my curiosity gets the best of me. You know, if Tony said, "Hey, in 5 years we're leaving and we're gonna move to I don't know, Guam," I'd be like, "All right,
We might be going to
I guess we're
Guam."
doing it again." All right, here we go.
Well, it definitely seems like Hawaii. You guys definitely set up, kind of set up shop very quickly. I think both of you kind of fell in love with the place. Like you were saying, you might not have spent a bunch of time there before, but very quickly I remember you guys falling in love and kind of being very passionate about the place, respecting it. Doing different things around the island that, to make you look good and to, you know what I mean? Be good, respectful people, and show that you weren't just another asshole there to kind of take advantage of the place and fuck it up.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, let's go back a little bit. So you were out in San Antonio and when did you get into the animal welfare kind of business?
Well, let's see. It actually started when we found a dog.
And this was San Antonio?
This was in San Antonio. Okay. So for me, this was something new. This wasn't something that I was used to seeing. Each city, as you know, has its own type of culture. And San Antonio definitely is its own. Definitely love San Antonio. It's a beautiful city. I met a lot of really great people out there. But it was different for me. I had never experienced anything like that.
I've been there.
We lived in a neighborhood where stray packs of dogs would come out at you, and you'd have to walk around with like a stick if you were walking your dog.
Get back,
or you know what I mean?
Back.
Yeah.
Scoot.
Or
go.
The train tracks. When you drove past a train track, you were bound to see just dogs everywhere, and these were feral dogs that were just living out their lives, and there was definitely, I guess, what I would consider, an overbreeding issue.
You're like, this is
in San Antonio,
a
and of course, again, this is all of my opinion and what I saw.
But this was as a person that just moved that. This is just a random person. This is your opinion as far as just going to a place, not knowing anything about what you would, later get into, but saying, "Oh my God, this is a problem."
Yeah.
Like very obviously, like there's dogs running around everywhere. What the hell's going on?
And and I'm Mexican, so I've been back and forth from Mexico and the United States, and in Mexico that is something that you see. It is common for there just to be dogs everywhere. The street vendors feed them off their carts. It's something that you see. You just don't fight it. It just it is. But being in the United States, being in San Antonio, to me, it was almost like it shouldn't be this way. So it was a little bit of a reality check for me.
It's crazy.
And so we found this dog. This dog was running across the street. The car hits the dog, then backs up and hits it again because he's like, "Whoa, what did I just hit?" Didn't realize it was a dog, so speeded away. Then Tony, being the heroic man that he is, runs out in the middle of the street because stop traffic. Stop traffic. Gotta save the dog. Grabs the dog. And then, now we have this dog. Now we have this dog that's face is all smashed up. Its eye looks like it exploded. He's a little like 20 pounds.
Yeah. The story, Poor fucking thing got hit twice. Fucking asshole.
Hit twice, bro.
You had to back over and stupid
said,
fucker.
"Oh, I wonder what I hit," and then backed up and smacked him again. The poor dog.
Yeah, that's just
anyway.
That's just rough luck. That poor little guy. Tony saves the day.
So Tony grabs this dog.
Of course, fucking hero. Right. Modern day hero, of course. Wouldn't be the first time in my life.
Because who doesn't love, someone who saves a dog. Very sexy. So we have this dog now, and we're kind of broke because we haven't been in San Antonio long enough, and we're just kind of living like everyone else, paycheck to paycheck. Everyone knows vet bills are very expensive, and we're like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah.
So
let's take them in.
We kind of, yeah, I mean, the second Tony grabbed that dog off the floor, it was definitely like a commitment. We're like, well,
Now we got to do
we
it.
don't know who the owners are. We tried looking for them. Obviously, nobody is looking for this dog in San Antonio. San Antonio's a huge
And
city.
there's
The city
other
of San
dogs
Antonio
running
is-
around and with him. It's not like,
Exactly,
yeah.
you know,
Oh, did you?
you're not gonna find the
Yeah.
owner. You know?
Was that my one dog that got, is that my one dog out of 8
Yeah.
that got hit right there? Yeah, you're not gonna find him. Nobody's wanting him. But and you grow attached. Did you get him and start falling in love immediately, or was it still just kind of like you're so fucked up, I just feel like I have to help you?
It was definitely number 2. You're so fucked up. I really need to
Yeah.
help you. So it was very much that. So with this dog, we obviously had extensive medical bills, things that needed to be treated, all sorts of things, from a road rash, a couple of fractured things here and there, his eyes, big bug eyes, both of them just kind of smashed, bleeding. So it took, not only just, veterinarians, but also like specialist veterinarians, that could work on him and do these things for him. But with a specialist, things get very expensive. So we decided to go ahead and start a GoFundMe for this dog. We started a GoFundMe, and sure and shit, the response and the amount of love that we got almost immediately pretty much covered the majority of every surgery, every vet visit, medications, extensive care. I mean, this dog lived in a dog cone for about 8 months.
Aw,
So this poor dog didn't see the world for
the
about
one thing
8
they
months.
hate are those fucking cones, and this guy's like stuck in one. You're like, well, go ahead and get used to it, bud. That's your new best friend.
Exactly. This dog kind of hated us a little bit.
You guys are the worst. You never even give me a break.
Exactly. And so it's finally like day of the dog's surgery, and then this magical thing happens. Through the grapevine and through like these GoFundMes and all these people who donated to this dog's fund, this gentleman that lives out in California and runs a rescue, he gives us a call. And literally, we are at the veterinarian's office. We're ready to remove the dog's eyeballs because it's just too far gone and we can't afford. We've run out of funds at this point. He calls us and he pretty much says, "I will cover the rest of the surgery. Put the receptionist on the phone."
Yeah.
And
Cool.
that's kind of when our hearts dropped, and it's like, wait, what? Who are you? Like, it was a kind stranger. You know
And
what I
it was
mean?
just
He
word from a
called
word
us.
from a word spread across the internet. Dog lovers, rescues.
Yes, pretty much. And and at first I'm shocked. I'm like, who is this creep?
Right, yeah.
Give
What's
me
this
all this
motherfucker
money to
want?
save
Where's
this
he coming
dog's
from?
life. Yeah, because I am a typical human being and I think the worst of everybody
Right,
immediately.
yeah.
But no, it really kind of just restored that. No, there's still people out there who care.
Wow.
Like, holy moly, this great thing's about to happen for this dog. The quality of life is about to change completely. So we were able to save both of the
Well, that
eyes.
has to mean a lot when somebody
thanks to this
steps
man.
forward in a situation where
Yes.
you're seeing dogs run around, not being taken care of. You're the person that's taken that step forward to take this responsibility on. That honestly really isn't fucking your responsibility, right? Like, it's not
Exactly.
You're just don't want to see something bad happening, and you take it on, and then you find out there are other people out there that
Correct.
don't even need to see the bad thing happen, that still understand what's happening and what you're going through, and just simply want to help out for the well-being of an animal.
Yes, and that is incredible, I would say.
Ah.
I think that's amazing.
How fucking cool.
Because who else, what average Joe can just, do
Yeah.
that? It's not possible. So that really kind of sparked a fire under our butts. And so we took care of this dog. We saved both of his life. Super grateful for everyone who helped out. We tried to then home the dog once he was recovered. Couldn't find anyone to take him. And at this point, he was ours.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm talking about my own dog. Spoiler alert, dogs first.
You did fall in love
at
with
this
him.
Point, Tony and I kind of looked at each other and we were like, So this is our dog.
Right.
And it was like, all right, we've got another dog. We've added another dog to the pack. And it was just, and like literally it was just one dog after the other. It was, you know, we saved this dog's life. He's our dog now. Now every dog that we found or came across was put into the back of our car and brought to our house. I remember one time in San Antonio, and this is just me and Tony doing all of this. Let me add that in. One time we had this house in San Antonio. We had
on top
one dog
of
living
you
in our
working jobs and trying trying to support yourself, trying to pay bills. Now you're also out there throwing random dogs in the back of your car.
Yes.
To try to set up GoFundMe's to get people to like help these fucking random dogs out that you don't even fucking know. And these people that don't even know you are the ones that generally are helping out. And oh, how cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that's how that happened. Pretty much. So meanwhile, I'm working at a bookstore. I'm working at a bookstore in San Antonio because that's the only job I could get at the time, you know. So I'm working at a bookstore, and meanwhile, I have a dog living in my guest bathroom. I have the guest bedroom has now been taken over by 4 cats that, you know, were just super sick with upper respiratory infections, covered in ringworm. The hallway we found how to block off, and we had a pug living in there. There was a lab by the name of, you know, Mona we had found living in the backyard.
You're like, if we block off the hallway, we have another bedroom. It's just really long and really narrow.
Pretty much, dog. Pretty much. You know, and so it's like we just accumulated all these animals, and we lived on the outskirts of San Antonio. We kind of lived on the edge, so it was a little more country out there. So it was known for a lot of dog dumping out there. So anytime I'd be like, hey, Tones, can you go grab some milk? He'd come back with a dog, you know? Or he'd be like, hey, Tots, go pick up a pack of smokes. I'd come back with a dog. You know, it didn't stop. So
your guys' hearts are too big.
Exactly.
Tony's a badass.
And so eventually it just kind of turned into, you know, me working at a bookstore. And now I'm like, all right, so I'm saving all these dogs. I think I can make a career. I think I can work in this. I think there's a name for that. Like, I think I can be part of this world somehow.
If I find enough dogs,
figure out how to get paid.
Fix them back up.
Yeah.
This could be maybe a job.
It sounds like I'm like trading old cars here. I buy these cars, I fix them up, just put them back on Craigslist. Not doing that with the dogs.
Tots' restoration show or whatever.
Yeah.
Finding beat up El Caminos and restoring them into classics.
Exactly.
How funny.
So that's what we were doing with the dogs. But we were actually able to home a lot of these dogs on our own, which was even like the cooler thing. One of the dogs in particular,
just through friends,
her name was
people that you knew or that you got to know in your new town, and through your other through the bookstore, through Tony's shop, whatever. How cool.
Yeah, and in our traveling really like came. Our traveling and our getting to know of all these people in different places really kind of helped to, you know, bring everything full circle. There was one dog in particular. Her name was Copper. She was this really, really skinny, emaciated lab that used to run around the neighborhood. Super sweet girl. She was the dog that was living in the bathroom, by the way. So she was a really cool dog. One of our buddies in Flagstaff, his name's Ryan, actually.
Yeah. Shout out to Burke.
We were like, dude, we've got this dog. She is so awesome. You've been looking for another dog. You've been looking for a black dog. I've got one. I've got a black dog in my house. Who needs a home? So we ended up hopping in the car, putting the dog in the back, and actually driving to New Mexico to Roswell. So Ryan and his girl drove from Flagstaff, Arizona, met us in Roswell, New Mexico.
Met you halfway to kind of intersect under aliens.
Yes. It was exciting. I don't remember how we picked Roswell, but we picked that town.
Well, and you're looking like somewhere like, where's halfway? And then you see that, you're like, I think I got it.
Yeah.
If I know Tony, he was like, yeah, that's where we're going.
Uh-huh.
Meet there. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we were able, and like just things like that. We were able to transport dogs to different facilities. We were able to meet up with friends in neighboring states and rehome some of these dogs. So we were doing all of these things, and we were on fire.
Yeah.
Super motivated, just on it. And at the time,
Purely out of love.
then I was serious about how am I going to make it. Like, I want this to be all that I do. How am I going to find a career in this? And at this point, I don't know anything about animal welfare or how shelters are run. At the time, I wouldn't step foot into a shelter. Shelters are not, they're not happy-go-lucky. They're not Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
We'll get to that later.
They can be a little heartbreaking. So, but I wanted to, I just wanted to work with animals. So with that, I found an entry position job at the zoo.
How cool.
I found an entry position job at the zoo taking care of goats and pigs. And not just any goats and pigs, handicapped goats and pigs.
How awesome.
Uh-huh.
They need special love,
Right?
and they found the perfect person.
So I took care of these gimpy goats. One had like a little leg. One had a couple of
gimpy goat.
Mental issues. So she
kind of run around,
did
run
a little
walls
self-trauma. Yeah, always breaking her horns.
Poor
and,
girl.
we'd have to catch her and,
You're fucking putting bubble
mend her
wrap and
up.
shit around her fucking horns. You're like, just take it easy. Just take it easy.
Pretty much, dude. Oh,
cute.
man. So, yeah. So then I got into the zoo world.
Did you ever do yoga with the goats?
You know what? No, I never did yoga with the goats. I didn't. I did other things with the goats.
You're like
I
laying
picked up
down
their
with like the
poop.
poop on the. It's all gross. What are you doing, Tots? I'm doing yoga with the goats. Sorry, I saw it online somewhere.
I just spent a lot of time sitting on the ground with the goats.
You're
right?
like, oh, I was on the
Definitely
ground
not a
with
clean
them. Yeah.
job. Yeah.
You're like, I just wasn't
I've got
doing
like
yoga.
30 photos of me, and the goat laying on the ground. Be like, oh, look how cute we are.
Aww. Gimpy goats.
Pretty much. So somehow I got stuck with the gimpy goat job at the zoo.
But that's where it was.
And I did.
That's where it started. That was that gave you your option. You said you wanted to do it. This was your option. They said to come and do it, and you took it on.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. So it was pretty exciting. And so I was brand new to this like animal world, because zoos are a different ball game, and when it comes to animals, it's like politics. Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to see it. So I was working at a zoo, and it was a good zoo. I really appreciated my time there, and I learned a lot. But I also learned that zoos were not where I wanted to be necessarily. I was definitely more interested in the rescue aspect of things more so than maybe the educational or breeding side of things. So after the zoo, I just started to look for any job that would allow me to work with domestic animals like cats and dogs. Couldn't find any jobs at the shelter. So what I did is I actually got a job at a grooming salon bathing dogs.
Okay.
So got a job at the grooming salon, bathing dogs,
Just working
super
hands-on with animals.
Yeah, I was just
doing anything
any
you can
experience.
to spend time with them, get used to them, refamiliarize yourself, get used to the characteristics, dealing with different animals and whatever may fall into your lap that day, whatever it may be.
Exactly. Awesome. And it really worked out. I was I bathed dogs for a little while, and then I took on an apprenticeship with one of the groomers there, and they taught me how to groom dogs. And it was fun. It was a really, really fun job. Still looking for a little bit more. So Tony and I actually started volunteering at the shelter, and we started fostering animals through the shelter. So we found a more kind of legit way to do things and actually get some actual help. So even the dogs that we were finding on the streets, we were actually able to work with these shelters to get some more help. Not necessarily like funding, like here's some cash, take care of the dog, but resources. Yep. Resources are super important. Medical attention, just housing facilities.
The stuff that comes along
I think the nice
with
thing,
having a dog at your house for a set amount of time until you rehome it or find it a new place. It's time and money and effort and dog food and vet bills. And usually they're not in the best of shape if they're coming to you at that point. So that makes sense.
Right. So we started kind of working with the local shelters there a little bit, and then I got heavy into their transport. So Texas, it's gigantic. Texas, it's really its own country. It's gigantic. So what I would do is I'd get off of work from the grooming salon, go over to the shelter, and then drive to the next town to drop off these dogs who just needed to go to different facilities or to their new homes, but maybe the owners couldn't drive out into the main city to pick them up. So I did a lot of that. So I've always had a dog. So I was always on the road, kind of always had a dog. I'm like, okay, Tony, I'll be home late. I'm going to, take this blind dog 2 towns that way,
And you're all like jamming. I don't know. For some reason, I see you like jamming tunes, windows down, hair blowing, dogs everywhere.
Basically, yes. That's how that
maybe
went.
some like Rolling Stones or something, like something kind of like classic and old school. Maybe an El Camino you're in. I don't know if that was at that time or not, but for some reason that's what I imagine.
That's definitely. Well, thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment because anytime I get in the car, I like to feel like I'm in a movie. So the music's got to be right. I got to have the right sunglasses
there we
on.
go. I have the picture in my mind.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that picture, that's exactly how that went down.
That was my life. Yep, everything you're imagining. It was perfect.
Yes, the Rolling Stones were playing in the background. Yes.
They were there. They were playing in the El Camino, in the back of the El Camino.
I picked them up along the way. It was great.
So that's awesome. So so you basically start out and you're just helping transportation. You're driving dogs from towns to town to help out in the transferring of the animals to make sure that they have the best opportunity to get rehomed or get the help and veterinary needs that they're dealing with at that time. Oh, cool. So where does it go from there?
So let's see. So what's next? So at the time now, I am officially a groomer because I've learned that I can survive off of grooming. Grooming is fun. I get to work with dogs. I get to learn about, I get to learn a lot of things. My short-lived grooming career came in handy a million times, let me tell you.
That's awesome.
Because then I started grooming dogs for free at the animal shelters. So
Tots knows how to do it.
So then I would get called once a week and they'd be like, we've got all these gross dogs. They need haircuts, they need baths, they need nail trims. I'm your girl. Grab my toolbox. I'm on my way.
Dolling them up, giving them cute little doos, making them feel all proud, giving them a little bit of love in their life.
Exactly.
So cute.
So any way that I could help, I would help, and it does. It doesn't matter. Even if you're doing the laundry at the, animal shelter, such an important role. Shelters need towels, so I did that for a little while. You want me to fold these towels for 6 hours so the dogs have clean bedding? I'm your girl. Sign me up.
Oh, yeah.
So anything I could
still
I did.
Just out of
love. I did it for fun. Yeah. Out of love, 100%. For funsies.
Still just volunteering
100%,
and driving towns away, and the image that we saw in our head with you and
that gas money, it came out of my pocket. Yes.
El Camino gas is just fucking burning up.
Yeah, I'm driving a boat, dog. I'm driving a boat, okay?
The Stones didn't pitch in for the drive at all. Fucking cheapskates.
No,
those
man, they
motherfuckers.
No, they got some money. So yeah, man, I did that, and then it was time to go, and then it was time to move to the next state, and
how was that? I mean, are you? What are the emotions? Are you sad to go? You feel like you're kind of like you feel like you're kind of getting somewhere there. Or does I've been to San Antonio once, and it was because I drove down from Austin for a 9 Inch Nails concert. Which, you know what I mean? It's like, all right.
That sounds about right.
You saw fucking 9 Inch Nails and shit. Like, shit was pretty fun, but like, it was a day trip. And I got the vibe from one night, and just like going to the Coliseum, I was like, yeah, I don't want to come back here, like I've seen it all. It was like, motherfucker, it was dark, and all you did is drove to a Coliseum and saw a show and left. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I saw it all. So I guess does the, just does the opportunities, does the I don't know, the want to go to Hawaii, does the fear of doing something new, what are the emotions with all of that when you're starting something new and going to a new state?
It was scary, man. It was definitely like I said earlier, it was definitely a hard no for me initially when Tony said, "Hey, I got presented a job opportunity in Hawaii. This is crazy." Like when does that happen?
Yeah.
You know, when is somebody going to say, "I've got this spot for you. If you want it, take it."
You have, yeah,
You know,
sometimes you
gotta
do it.
Yeah. But I had already like established a life for myself, and I'm pretty young at this point. You know, I'm in my early 20s. I didn't go to college. You know, I got my GED. I'm not going.
We went to
not
college
going
on
to
the
go
streets.
back to college. Yeah. So at this point in life, I'm definitely like, no, I think this is like something I'm going to pursue, and I can do this. Like, I feel like I can actually do this and be successful and like make a lifestyle out of this. So I was pretty bummed when I heard that Tony really wanted to go to Hawaii. Because I established not only, you know, I've made friendships, I've made connections. I have a really great, fun day job where I groom dogs all day, and then
you had your
play,
big ass foot
you know,
right in the doorway. Right?
Exactly.
Like that's kind of
You know
what it
what I
sounds
mean?
like. You're
I
like
did.
kind of just
I
now
did.
kind of getting into, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I won't be the person that's just driving the dogs to.
Yeah. I was, you know, I was so close.
Yeah.
I was there. You know, the door had just opened for me. I'm about to, you know, take my first step in, and Tony grabs me by the belt loop and goes, "Hold on, girlfriend. Hold on."
He's like, we're gonna even be better off than here. We gotta keep moving up. We gotta keep moving up.
You know,
And how awesome!
You know,
and how awesome of a choice was that? Obviously, it worked out great. You know, everything's going awesome. Tony's business out in Hawaii is still going great,
Exactly.
besides everything being shut down. Fuck
right.
Hawaii.
Other than that, you know,
fuck Hawaii guidelines.
Business was going great.
So yes, maybe where does it go in Hawaii? You get out to Hawaii. What's it like for a Mexican
Check
girl
it out to
out
Hawaii.
in Hawaii?
All right. So I'm Mexican. I'm living in San Antonio. I think I'm living my best life. I'm saving all the dogs. I'm doing great. I'm rocking and rolling. Now you're going to move me to the island where I know no other Mexicans. Can't find a street vendor to save my life to sell me some tacos. You know what I mean? It's humid. I've never dealt with humidity before. I'm a desert girl.
Still don't know how to swim.
You know?
Did you learn how to swim before you went?
No, I didn't. I learned how to swim in Hawaii in the ocean, and it was scary. And yeah, no, I did not learn how to swim prior to moving out there. So then that was another one. Like, what am I doing over there? Okay,
On an island, don't know how
I
to swim.
consider camping like going on like your nightly stroll. Like, you know, like this is the girl I was at the time, you know? You know, anytime we went hiking, I'd be like, "Oh, we're going camping." Tony's like, "No, we're going hiking." Hold on.
Too good.
So we moved to Hawaii. I'm scared. I don't have any friends. Tony doesn't have any friends. We've never been, to Hawaii before. Tony, maybe as a child, I believe, could have gone, during family vacations, but we don't know anyone. I don't have a job.
Experience in Hawaii.
Nothing.
Like, oh, well, I got a homie out here, and everything's brand new.
Exactly. I mean, luckily we were fortunate enough that the people who had offered Tony the position,
That's always the establishment.
They were very, they were very giving. They were very helpful. You know what I mean? They knew that we didn't have anything going out.
Yeah.
They knew that we would have to start from scratch. We lived in a hotel the first week there. Luckily, they drove us around, showed us, here's the grocery store. Here's some places to look at for rent. So immediately getting to Hawaii, we're living in a hotel room. We found a studio.
I guess that is weird about Hawaii is like, you say like, oh, well, they knew we weren't going to really have anything. But I guess like everybody that decides to move to Hawaii has to decide to, I mean, yes, you have your shit. Yes, you can ship stuff out there. But ultimately, with the price you're probably paying for fucking shipping and even fucking shipping a car out there, you're like, fuck this shit. I'm just going to sell that shit and fucking buy a new one. But like,
pretty much,
that is weird. It's such a huge commitment just to even try it,
Yeah, we planned. I think it took us about a year of planning from when Tony got the original job offer to actually get us to Hawaii. We had to do all sorts of crazy things for the dogs to get them to the islands. We, had to research shipping containers. How much can we afford to ship? Can we ship our car? Can we afford to ship our car? That's thousands of dollars,
So
when we get there. We're used to San Antonio living where your gallon of milk is less than $1, and now I'm moving to Hawaii and I'm going to pay $6 for a gallon of milk. Our rent went from $700 to in a 3-bedroom house to, $1,800 for a studio, a studio that's maybe 600 square
Somewhere
feet.
close to where the working is going on.
To where you work.
It's like without, at this point, you don't know what you're going to do, correct?
No, I have no job. So I don't have a job. Business is slow for Tony because Tony is a brand new piercer in this town. There's no business for him to walk into.
Yeah.
He had to start from the bottom.
Building and
So
establishing.
me and him are kind of both.
Yeah, creating which doesn't take long with that guy. But so what are you doing? So it's like how long does it sit around? What's your ideas when you go out there? I mean, is it you want to get back into what you're doing? Is there a thought in your head of like, all right, well, what do I actually really want to do? What was going to be the next step in San Antonio versus where can I start out here? Where does that go?
Well, here's the funny part. So originally I thought I was going to have a job lined up at the grooming salon, and then that fell through. So I started looking for other jobs at grooming salons. I couldn't get a job in Hawaii because I didn't speak Chinese or Japanese. For the first time in my life, I am actually a minority. For the first time in my life, me being bilingual and speaking Spanish means absolutely
and it doesn't
nothing.
Get you anywhere,
correct.
which has always been
it doesn't.
Amazing back in the States. How crazy.
Exactly. You're hired on the spot if they know you're bilingual.
They're like, you're cute,
Here
you're
in
a girl,
Hawaii,
you're young, you're bilingual, you're sassy.
You got the job.
You're in.
No, dog, not in the island.
Not here, brah.
They're like, oh, you're bilingual? You speak Japanese? No, Mandarin. No, can't, no. Oh, so I couldn't get a job anywhere.
Oh, crazy. It's weird.
So I got a job at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Because
be a barista.
Starbucks is great. Because I love Starbucks coffee.
I go to Starbucks.
I was like, wait.
Yeah.
And it was across the street from the studio apartment that we were living in.
Yeah.
So again,
you're like, we already went there twice a day, so I figured we could get free coffee out of it.
Exactly. I'm like, we're poor. We live in a studio apartment. We don't have a car. I might as well work at the coffee shop so we can get free coffee.
You're like, my fucking puppuccinos are fucking break. I'm spending all my extra money on puppuccinos, for God's sakes.
Pretty much, exactly.
Puppuccinos over here. How cute.
So, but it couldn't last.
Yeah.
Working at I couldn't do it. At this point,
you did it,
I needed.
But maybe the passion wasn't there.
Right. I still love Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to work there. I still go there. I just want to work there.
I would just rather pay somebody else to make my coffee.
Exactly, dog. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
We love you, Starbucks. If you would like a ad read, I'm here. I'm available.
Drop your email address real quick.
Go get your frappuccinos. Fuck yeah.
If you like to
Tony
sponsor
said,
the podcast,
"Fuck it all." Sponsored by Starbucks.
Exactly, dog. So working at fucking Starbucks. And on my lunch break, I'm like, well, there has to be shelters here. I wonder if I can at least find, volunteer work, get my foot in the door, and just start from scratch all over again. But they were actually hiring.
Right.
Like I was like, oh wait, you can actually work there? Like it's just not run by volunteers? Because in my head, I'm still like, dude, like you cannot get a job at one of these shelters. Like there's the majority of shelters. It's a lot of volunteers, a lot of volunteer hours. So I got a job. So I applied for a job, entry level position, just cleaning up cages, cleaning, feeding, picking up the poops. Right after, so I got that job, and then I got a phone call in the middle of the day, and they were like, so we kind of reviewed your resume, and we saw all these things that you've done in San Antonio. You've got experience at the zoo. You were a dog groomer. You've got all these like volunteer hours.
Everything starts
you're all
lining up.
over. Yeah,
How
and of
fucking
course
cool.
my resume looks crazy because I have no real life experience other than the bookstore and Starbucks.
They're like, she's smart, she reads. She might know
We
people at
got it.
Starbucks, so she might be able to get us a discount. And then she has a bunch of fucking history helping out fucking a bunch of animals for no fucking reason, but just out of the goodness of her heart.
Exactly,
They're like,
dog.
I think we fucking found somebody.
So I get this phone call and they're like, well, we know we hired you to clean cages, but you kind of already seem to have that down. So do you kind of want to work?
Might be a little overqualified, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, okay, thank you for feeding my
Yeah.
ego. So grateful. So I got a job intaking animals. So this shelter is an open admission shelter, meaning they take in any animal for whatever reason at any time of the day. It doesn't matter. And it's a amnesty drop-off center as well. So even if you know,
this is
even if you have an
straight-
illegal species or you can bring anything to this place. All right.
This is exactly what you have dreamed of, almost. Yeah. I mean, this is right. I guess I'm just saying this is kind of right. I guess this is right up your alley, you know. You can deal with anything,
dreams come
anytime.
true.
People are bringing in these animals. You're like, this is it.
This is it. I found it. I did it.
How cool.
So I started working in the intake department. And then that's when I finally found, like, I guess my place in Hawaii. You know, I'm working now at the animal shelter. I've got this great job. I've got an actual job there. It's an important job. I'm learning so much. I'm working with different types of species now as well.
You learned to swim.
I learned to swim.
That was maybe a
We can talk about that if you want.
For some reason, I felt more comfortable. I learned how to swim when I was there on the island.
Life was
I learned
going
how to
so
swim.
good. I just jumped in the ocean.
I could float. I didn't sink anymore.
So, you know, I got a great job. I learned how to swim. I got a discount at Starbucks. That's good now,
I'm
bro.
fucking in at
That's
Starbucks. Those
fucking
bitches know my
good.
order. I wink at them from
We got
across the
out of the
street.
studio apartment,
Yeah.
got a little bigger apartment with a bedroom.
Moving up.
Yeah, you know, so now we're going. Ball's rolling for
Yeah.
me now. I'm moving. You know, Tony's doing well. Business is finally picking up. And so I stayed in that department for a few years. I tried to go back to college. Just wasn't my thing. Just
Needed
not
something
about
a little
it.
bit more-
It's just
A little
not.
bit more hands-on is what you needed. You needed some time there. And
Yes.
To do what you can.
Yeah, and I pretty much, and I kept telling myself, "Oh, I'm gonna get a degree, a degree in animal science, and I'm gonna try to, really do something or whatever." But it just didn't go that way, and I just wasn't interested in it, and school was not for me. It's really never been for me. So I just decided to do, what plan B or really plan A is, you work from the bottom and work your
Put
way
in
up.
the time.
And I was fortunate enough that this place in particular had that growing opportunity that I needed. They didn't care necessarily if I had that fancy piece of paper with a degree, with a couple letters attached to the end of my name. So I was
They wanted
able
to make sure you're
to
ready
actually
to put
grow.
in the time and are there every day and willing to do
Exactly.
what needs to be done on a daily basis.
And so,
which comes to let me get through a little bit of the sad stuff because I'm a big fucking pussy.
yeah, let's talk about
your
that.
dude's always said that I'm a pussy, and I've always said, "Yep, you know it, bud." I've seen you smash a Red Bull can in someone's face before. I know you're a badass. I'm a pussy. I'll always be a pussy.
It's okay. Do you remember how everyone slipped after
Oh my
the
God,
Red
that's
Bull?
so-
Oh my God, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Fucking fighting on fucking slippery Red Bull. Oh, that was the best. Maybe that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Maybe next interview. Maybe next interview we'll get into
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk about that next time.
So let me just get through this part. The euthanization of animals. Oh man, that is like a huge part of that industry, and it's a must. It's a must-have.
Yeah.
Well, at least with the way things are in the situation that's at hand at this point. That's obviously a big part of the job. How is that, dealing with that, doing that, dealing with the emotions that come along with that? Because I know that would be something that would, that would get me a little bit. How did it happen? How did it start?
Well, so the euthanasia of animals. So I was introduced to euthanasia in San Antonio. San Antonio, obviously, it's a hot spot. There's a lot of stray animals. There's a lot of abandoned animals there. One of the places that I volunteered at in San Antonio had a row of dogs at the very front of the shelter that they called last chance dogs. These dogs, if we're not adopted by, say, 6 p.m. today, these dogs were to be euthanized. And at the time, I didn't understand. Yeah. I didn't know why they were going to be euthanized. I didn't know who the people were who made these decisions. There's a lot of emotions and a lot of questions. You know nothing
about the system,
and so I
really.
think, yeah, you don't. You really don't. You don't think about the system. You don't think about the people who are making these hard decisions. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many emotions, so many things that come together when making the decision to euthanize one single animal. And I didn't understand it at the time. When I lived in San Antonio, I did not understand it. And I think that's also what drove my passion for animals a little bit further, is because I didn't understand these things, because I was only a volunteer and I was allowed limited access, information, and knowledge.
You would drive anywhere to take a random dog to anything, to have anything, and find a random person to give eye surgeries. So you couldn't really imagine, well, maybe there's X amount of animals that don't necessarily get that chance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hence the
so
last
that's
chance.
I think that's where a lot of the last chance. So I think that's where, and honestly, those dogs that I picked up after my shifts at work, those were the last chance dogs. Yeah. Those were, hey, Tots, we just found out that a shelter, 2 towns over will take this dog. We can't keep her here. We're going to euthanize her at 7 p.m. Can you be here before then? Absolutely. On my way right now. So I think that's what drove a lot of the things that I did, and how hard I worked and pushed for these animal rescues and shelters and things in San Antonio. Completely, so that's how I was introduced to euthanasia. I didn't really know much about it. I just knew that I had time, I had a vehicle, and I had a home.
Kinda, yeah.
And I'll do anything. I'll do anything at this point, And so when I started working in Hawaii, and I, started working for this open admission shelter, one of the things that was told to me right off of the bat is, we are an open admission shelter. We are not a kill shelter. We are an open admissions. With that comes a huge responsibility to our community to, take in any animal for whatever reason, any time of the day, doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. We are going to take these animals in. We're going to assess them. We're going to give them a fair chance. And then we're going to decide whether or not these animals are going to be euthanized, or if they're going to make it to the adoption home, or if we can place them with different organizations, kind of figuring out what their options are. But unfortunately, one of those options is going to be euthanasia. So that was told to me right off of the bat. At first, it was definitely one of those conversations I needed to come home and talk to Tony about. I'm now working for an organization who euthanizes animals. And at the time, I was very naive, very ignorant, didn't know much about it.
I mean, do you break down there? Do you know what I mean? Or is it still just being talked about? You're still being aware of the idea of it before you see it face on?
Correct.
You see the paperwork on it. You start seeing the program layout. You see, like you were saying, as far as there being options, I know that I've looked at different information, some that you've sent me, where there is categories, and within, an animal being dropped off, there are assessments that are done, and unfortunately, there's categories, and that's how the animal is categorized, and unfortunately, one of those leads to something not so good.
Exactly.
So you're reading the information packet or being told this
on my orientation, on my first day orientation, because that's what it was.
Welcome.
It's still a job. At the end of the day, it's like, welcome. Here's your uniform. Here's your information package. Here's a map of our campus. now let's talk about euthanasia.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess that's why I wanted to jump right into it. It's like, I guess that's the one.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
oh, fuck, I think I just got punched in the gut. You know?
But I guess that is to show that it is a very prominent and important part of the process, and it is something that's, I mean, I don't even know if you'd say necessary, but maybe necessary at this point, you know, but maybe there's actions that maybe we could move towards to maybe not make it that, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I'm such an animal lover. I grew up with animals all my life. Like I said, you know, my friends call me a pussy, and so, you know what I mean? I guess that's why Tony and I love each other, because we're both the guys that are running in the middle of the street, stopping traffic, because we're like, hey, I think I saw an animal, or I ran over
exactly.
Tots, I ran over a lizard with my trash can the other day. Oh my God. Broke my fucking heart. They hide under our trash cans, and then now of course I go out there and I'm like, get out, hey, get out of here, Lizzie's, you know, like I have names, yeah, I hit on the trash, you know, get out of here, scat, go home, go back to where you came from, you know. Before I start, you know, but of course I rolled over one the other day, and it's like I had to cut his little head off with a shovel, and it's like I felt so bad, you know, and it's like I wrote my wife, and I'm like, I wrote my wife, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sad. I had to cut a lizard's head off, and like, I fucked him up, and he was fucking bleeding everywhere, and like, I was like, there was no growing back of his middle torso, like, you know.
No, dude,
this is not like oh, maybe he'll be all right. I was like, God damn it, I fucking rolled over him, you know.
Yes. I know.
But so the euthanasia euthanasia stuff, man. So intense. I did a little bit of reading, and of course, like, tell me if I'm fucking wrong or exaggerating or whatever, but like 2019 they said about 800,000 cats and dogs you know, were killed. You know, it's like that's almost like a million animals, you know. It's just so crazy to think about. Where does this come from? What, you know, what kind of person would want to deal with something like this, or could deal with something like this? I know a little bit about your background. I know that you've been through some stuff. You've lived a tough life. Can you explain a little bit about your parents and where you come from, and a little bit about your family?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm first generation American. My parents immigrated here from Mexico before I was born, obviously. So my parents crossed the border illegally. They crossed over with my older sister, who was born in Mexico, pregnant with me, and my younger sister had not been born at the time. Parents crossed the border.
I did not know
we ended up in Los
I
Angeles.
didn't know your mom was pregnant with you during the crossing.
Yeah,
Wow.
so my mom actually experienced a couple of interesting crossings. She's another story completely. She's crossed the border with a newborn baby in her arms. You know, she's definitely one of those stories that you see in those documentaries. Yeah. You know, she's definitely one of those. You know, my parents' story within itself is insane. You know, how they started their life in the United States, how they crossed the border. You know, how things were just done in the 90s, really, because this is the early 90s. So my parents crossed the border. We're living in Los Angeles, or I was born in Los Angeles. So I was born in Los Angeles. I guess my very first memory would be my family. So my mom, my dad, my older sister, myself, and then an aunt and uncle and a bunch of cousins all mashed up in one apartment in Los Angeles, trying to figure out how our parents are going to make it in the United States, how they're going to raise these kids.
Making a plan, trying to figure things out, stressed, 100%. But involved in that is the step by step. What the hell are we going to do? How are we going to make it to tomorrow? Whereas my one child going to sleep, and of course your pregnant mom at the time.
Yes. So I remember, I think me and my cousins and my older sister, all the kids slept in a walk-in closet. The parents took all the parents. There was, because there's two sets of parents, so all four of them, they slept in. I think there were some in the living room, and then there were some in the bedroom, and then all the children were in the walk-in closet. So it was a very tight home. It was a very tight environment. This was my early childhood, so it's kind of hard for me to remember. But at one point, my father, decides that Las Vegas is way cheaper than California. It's just the same, where he could find the same kind of working opportunities being an immigrant. And there's so many people that speak the language that this might just work. Like, we could probably just move to Las Vegas and probably provide a better life there
and be
than
good
in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And be good and actually be able to afford, be able to afford the rent. So somewhere in the mix of that, my parents ended up back in Mexico and then crossing back over illegally. Now my mother, with her third child in her arms, crossing over, gets lost in the desert with my younger sister, gets picked up somewhere in the Arizona desert. Then my dad, my grandmother, and myself find my mom and meet her somewhere out in the middle of Arizona.
Wild.
Somehow make it back to Las Vegas, where we were raised and lived for most of our lives. Their immigration story is super trippy. And I know I'm starting to really learn a lot about their immigration story because I'm working on their immigration process as we speak. Yeah. So right now I've got a lawyer.
Step by step and
exactly
understand how.
And really almost try to pry information from my parents, because there's a lot of secrets that come from being an immigrant. Yeah. When you're an immigrant, you're on the run all of the time.
And they're not necessarily proud of what they necessarily had to do all the time, but they had to do what they had to do to get their, to provide a better environment for their family, better life to put food on the kids. And, man, that's...
So,
I mean, obviously,
so at this point,
Tots, obviously there's something with that, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
that the where you come from and the, like you were saying, like the memory of your family and the cousins in the small area trying to figure things out, and you were almost saying kind of like, we slept in the walk-in closet or whatever, almost kind of similar. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, and tell me if I am, but it's like you're almost kind of describing it almost the same way that you're kind of describing the closing off of the hallway for the dogs. You know what I mean? It's like there's something in there where that is, it's like that's inside of you.
And as an immigrant, you can't leave the country. You cannot risk leaving the country. You know what I mean? So once you're here, you're stuck.
What a
bro.
crazy
you're
responsibility!
You are
what
here.
A crazy thought for your parents to know that that they had you here, and they whatever, Melissa or your younger sister. It's crazy the responsibility that they had to deal with, knowing that at any point they could be sent back, and then they have all of you here, and what you guys had to deal with. It's just so crazy, so wild. It's such obviously that definitely relates to what you do, and the things that you're into now. It's crazy. Let's talk a little bit about when I came out there to visit. I came out to visit, and we had an opportunity to go out to your work, and everything was great. We traveled over there, and I just can't do it. I just clammed up, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think we got you past,
I stood out in the parking lot.
So, yes.
Yeah, I stood outside. Right. I think I went in a little bit, like to the entryway or something. But I was like, I'm just going to hang out out front, go do the tour. I sent my wife. I was like, go say hi to everything. And then the worst part, Tots, I was terrified.
Yes.
I was like, I'm going to be fine. I'm just going to stay outside. I don't want to have to see anything sad. I go, I'm a pussy. It's going to make me cry.
Right.
I don't want to see anything that's like, is going through a hard time in its life. So I'm sitting outside in the waiting area and I see this lady bring up something wrapped in a little blanket. Almost looked like a little baby. And I was like, oh, maybe some, I bet there's a really cute puppy in there. I bet it's a little puppy Great Dane, just like my dog. I can't wait to go pet it, Later on, I'm sitting around there waiting and waiting and waiting. I think you guys eventually come out from your little tour. So I look over and what I see is a little cat wrapped in a blanket. And I guess not a little cat. It was a cat. It's a normal, just a normal size cat.
It's a cat.
I guess it's a normal size
cat. It's a full-grown cat.
There's my exaggerations with my stories. It's such a little cat. It's a little cat.
Tiny.
No, it wasn't a little cat. It was just a normal fucking cat. I don't know. It was cute, but it was just a fucking cat.
Yeah, it was a cat.
And it looked, and I'm gonna be as like polite about this as I can. It looked like maybe if you held up a gun to one side of its face and pulled the trigger. And it looked like the cat had its half or quarter of its top of its face blown off. Immediately, I was like fighting back tears, and I was like, just breathe. Maybe you should go outside. And it's like the whole time I was like, man, what's going? And what it was a cat that had cancer. Yes. I could not believe really what I saw. You know what I mean? It was something that I was trying to avoid dealing with anything inside. And this poor fucking lady, you know what I mean? And she wasn't, I don't even remember being super emotional when she was walking in. I didn't stick around for long because I'm a fucking big crybaby. But like, when I saw this poor cat's face, it had been eaten away by cancer. Where it wasn't necessarily bloody or bleeding, but definitely the cat's face was gone. Right? You could tell the virus or what, I don't know, something about the virus had eaten away a section of the cat's face, and it was just something, I don't think I'll ever forget that. And this was, I mean, once again, this is when within like 15 fucking minutes of me fucking visiting this place. Like, oh, come check out my work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, come check. And of course I'm like, oh, I know you help animals and blah, blah, I'll go. And then it's like, I see fucking cancer face cat and I'm like, God damn it. Fucking cancer face cat. I tried to fucking not see you. I fucking stood outside. It's like, how fucking sad is that? Like, I don't know. It's so amazing that, like, these fucking poor animals can give us such enjoyment. You know what I mean? And then something just so fucking terrible can happen where a goddamn virus, or I don't even know. Is cancer a virus? I don't know. Tots.
No, bro.
I asked if fucking Mars had its own fucking sun. I don't fucking know what the fuck I'm talking about. But the fucking goddamn fucking cancer face cat, man, it just fucking got to me. And it's like, I still think about it all the time. And it's like, this is just one fucking cat. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, Tots. I'm such a pussy. It's like, I can't even think or fathom like what you've seen or what you've helped people out with or the situations and how sad people were and come to you where you've been able to kind of keep it together, provide comfort, do what needs to be done and either, fix, heal, operate, on an animal. It's just, I don't know. It's so great, but at the same time, man, that affected me. It's something I probably will never forget. Is that?
Yeah, it's a trip, man. No, it's a trip. I mean, when I first saw something like that, it definitely, it hit me in the gut. It's definitely not, for the faint-hearted, not by any means. And just and this woman, you have this woman She's walking into the shelter around 8:30 o'clock at night. She's got her cancer face cat in her arms. She's probably not terribly emotional because she's probably prepared herself all day to hand over her cat and say, "Can you please euthanize my cat?" And it's one of those things that you do have to learn how to, I don't want to say the word desensitize because desensitize is very cold almost. But you have to detach yourself from what's happening.
Cancer face cat every day, that word sounds whatever, like a little, maybe it sounds a little harsh, but I think when you're talking about dealing with those types of situations, I think it's totally understandable. You know what I mean? What you're saying and the word you're describing is you have to there's it has to be a separate.
There has to be. Yeah, if you're going to make it in this world that is animal welfare, there has to be a separation between your own personal feelings and, what is happening at the moment in time, because you still have to, you still have to think on your toes. You still have to provide amazing customer service. You still have to tell this woman, my condolences, because it's difficult. It's difficult for any owner to be ready to, put down their animal. And so you're going to be that last person that this woman turns the animal to, her pet, her companion, her family member to. And I think that is kind of the beautiful thing about this shelter is that we're able to offer these services to these owners who, one, may not have the funds to afford it at a private facility, so at a regular veterinary clinic. If they can't afford it, we provide it for very, very low cost. If not, we waive the fees. We don't want euthanasia to ever not be accessible. Because at one point or another, if you're a pet owner, you're going to have to make that hard decision if it doesn't happen naturally or by accident.
Deal with it sooner or later.
And so to be able to work, at a facility that is able to provide that service for the community, that's huge, But it does take a lot of, I don't want to say practice.
A little bit of experience to be able to do it every day.
That.
And be okay, not even okay with it, but still live still be able to go home and eat dinner with your boyfriend and have a good night and watch a movie and not be thinking about that all day long. So,
yeah, and you have to then remember to keep a level of professionalism with the first person who walks in with their euthanasia request and the last person. It's not like working at McDonald's.
It's fine to make a cheeseburger 18 times, but maybe on the 18th, situation. 18th bad. Yeah.
You pop that sucker in the microwave instead. You can't
on the
just pop
18th
that
cancer face, you're like, God damn it. Like if I have to see another fucking sad thing, it's like, it's gonna fucking break me. So Tots, getting on to the next thing, the neutering, or the spay and neutering. Obviously, this is a big reason that we have a lot of the euthanasia. I mean, right? It's we...
Yes.
Why can we not figure this out?
Because
hey, Tots, we're going to space.
Again, this is my opinion.
You know what I mean? We're doing this. We have fucking virtual reality stuff. We have fucking locker rooms. It's we have Teslas. We have fucking electric cars. We're drilling tunnels under the fucking ground. But we can't figure out how to take our dogs down and make sure that they're not just breeding everywhere.
No. And this is something that I didn't understand for a long time. I didn't get it. But, all right, so I'm going to break down. To me, personally, again, my opinion, because everyone has an opinion, I think that spaying and neutering your pets is key. I think that if every animal was spayed and neutered, we would control our overpopulation of abandoned and, stray animals. I think that it would help solve some of the overpopulation of what have now become feral species in certain areas, of the world or even in our country. On the islands, there's a little bit of an issue. Spaying and neutering is key. It's not only beneficial to the health of your animal, because you're going to avoid things like cancer, your quality of life, temperament is another huge one with spaying and neutering. So not only are you doing that, but we're going to stop and we're gonna help
Of
with the
course. Get rid of
overpopulation
the
of
fucking
these
dog
animals.
gangs
The
running
problem
around
is
fucking...
that humans are greedy.
Where the fuck were we talking about? El Paso? Not El Paso. Fucking... wherever the fucking Texas. San Antonio. Fucking
San
wherever the
Antonio?
Nine Inch Nails fucking show was at
San
that
Antonio?
fucking one year.
Where were you?
Hurry Up and Die is proud to represent and have Jumpline Coffee as our first sponsor for our podcast. Before Jumpline Coffee was a sponsor, I was a customer. I believed in these guys and the great coffee they were producing. Jumpline Coffee is owned and operated by 2 firefighters that love and need coffee. These are the guys we count on in a time of need. They dedicate a portion of their proceeds to local and national nonprofits that focus on mental health and first responders, military, and nurses. So guys, please visit Jumpline Coffee to place an order now. Use the promo code HURRYUP for 20% off your specialty coffee, branded t-shirts, and mugs. Support those you count on. One thing that I've kind of noticed with the veterinarian offices, why do I go in and I see a brand of dog food that is out in the veterinarian office where it almost, and I've asked a vet before and they've admitted to me, they go, well, this is the dog food that sponsors us, or we sponsor that. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but they say that their dog food is the best food to buy and sell it there at the vet. Because of the throwbacks, money, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but obviously it's like it's working both ways. They're doing them a favor by selling the product, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's the best, whether it's the worst.
Right.
What is all that? And does it get dirty when that kind of stuff is involved, or is that what's necessary when you're dealing with taking care of animals?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything, man. I've worked at facilities where a particular food company helps it's almost like a sponsorship, I guess you could say, where maybe this facility gets free food from this food company, but they're only going to feed the animals this food. And when the animals are adopted out, that adoption center is going to say, this is what we've been feeding here at the shelter. We're going to give you a free bag of food. So you can either A, stick with this bag, or B, you can transition to whatever you think is best for your lifestyle and the lifestyle of that animal. So that does play a huge role in this world and how funds are created.
Business, though.
It is business.
It's
because
just
at the end of the day,
if we give them the dog food and we front it and we pay the money to have them leave with it, let's hope they will continue to feed them that dog food, whatever, and that's the hopes, and maybe we'll get a new customer out of it.
Correct.
How do you feel? And this is kind of like a little bit. I can go into it a little bit. Like, what about like the people that are like the all natural dog food diet, where you see the people saying, "All right, well, I'm feeding my dog a half of a chicken, 2 quail eggs, bone marrow from a butcher that I picked up 2 days ago." Like, it's like they seem to like have all these fucking connections where they're getting all these fucking random ass fucking all natural fucking things. And you see the fucking dog bowl and it's like, the fuck is that? You know what I mean? It's like you're just putting the whole fucking egg in the dog bowl. Like they're just going to eat a whole fucking raw, which obviously a lot of the dogs do love that. They are fucking wolves, right? In a way, like that is the breed. Nature. But so I personally, when we got our Great Dane, we fell into a lot of the hype that was out there. It seemed like, and I was like, all right, they had this cute girl at the dog food place, and she was like, you should really think about putting your dog on all natural dog diet, blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe like tell me a little bit about it. Lolo sees me, she's like, why is he talking to some girl over there? So she like walks over, and then she's like, oh, I was just telling him about how you guys should feed your dog an all natural dog food diet. And then like now Lolo's like, man, this girl's sexy. You know, now we're both like, maybe we should fucking feed our dogs all natural dog diet, you know?
I will not.
So it's like, oh, this fucking girl's got both of us. She's fucking just like roped us in, you know? So now we're
pretty, huh,
suckers, you know? We're just eating out the fucking palm of her hand in the fucking middle of the fucking dog food store. So,
Exactly.
you know, we get to the point where we're like, you know, yeah, this makes sense. I want to feed my dog an egg in the middle of like bone
that
marrow
sounds
and
great.
fucking chicken guts and gizzards and shit. So I'm like, you know, get us a little, you know, price us out a little plan. You know, let us know what we're looking, you know. I got one Great Dane, and she's like, oh, you got a Great Dane. She goes, that's really cool. She goes, this might be a little expensive, you know. She goes, I go, well, how much? Yeah, I go, well, how much is it for your dog? You know, and she's like, well, you know, I really love my dog. I usually spend about $150, blah, 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 for a couple of weeks. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that I love my dog too. I could probably do something like that, you know. She prices it out, you know. She goes, well, how big, you know, how much does your dog weigh? I was like, you know, he's still growing, but I think he's like 120, 125 pounds. And you see like the little look on her
He's only
face
6
change.
months old.
You see the look on her face change, and she's like, oh, you know, she does the calculations. You see it like keep going.
What's your salary? What's your annual salary?
She goes, well, you know, it's only going to be like, you know, like $800 every 2 weeks. And I was like, $800 every 2 weeks? I go, for both my dogs? She goes, you have 2 dogs? I go, yes, I have 2 Great Danes.
2 dogs?
She's like, oh, yeah, this is gonna be like, you know, so she was talking about like a $3,000 a month dog food for my animals. I was like, yeah, I can't do that, you know.
That means they eat better than you, man. All right, like,
I mean,
let's be real.
They probably do already, even with their kibble.
Fuck yeah, my dogs eat way better than
Lolo
I do.
and I are rewarming stuff.
I eat frozen pizza, and my dogs eat like fucking gourmet dog food. Get the fuck out of here.
We know you and Tony love those frozen pizzas.
We do love frozen pizza.
What about like the expensive dog foods? What's up with that? Like, is expensive dog food better than cheap dog food? Should we stay away from buying dog food at the
Kirkland brand or the
Costco brand,
the
the Kirkland brand? Should we stay away from that and spend the extra money? What is the deal? Grain free, no grain, you know, with grain. Yeah. I know that's a big thing right now.
It is.
The substitutes are supposed to not be doing good on a lot of dogs. But
so I think
man, it's so crazy,
but it's
right?
Costly, dog. It's costly. So dog food is definitely, it's another one of those things where everybody's got an opinion. Mm-hmm. And you can break it down however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, so Tony and I had 2 big dogs, 2 boxer mixes, huge dog, about 80-pounder dogs. Those dogs, for the majority of their life, I would say 80% of their life, were probably fed just whatever dog food was at the grocery store. Right. I remember walking into the grocery store and Tony going, that 100-pound bag, yeah, throw that shit in the cart. You know what I mean? Like that old boy
bang
sitting
for
right
your
there,
buck.
throw it in the cart. And they were fine. And they were beautiful, healthy dogs their entire life. You know what I mean? And then there's those owners who, you know, will turn the bag around and pick out every ingredient, tear it apart. Is this something my dog needs? Is this what I want to feed? It's kind of like a health. It's kind of like how we went on a health craze. You know what I mean? When people start dissecting GMOs and blah, blah, blah.
All of a sudden, like, everybody
what
has
even is a GMO? Do you know? Because I don't know.
Yeah,
but
everybody
it
has
makes
an
me feel
intolerant
better
now.
when my can of soup says there's no GMOs in it. You know? So dog food is definitely a lot. There's a lot of trends. There's a lot of this and that. But what it comes down to for me personally is lifestyle. For example, I have 4 dogs. I have 3 small dogs and a pit bull. I live in a humid environment. My dogs have problems with humidity, and their skin sometimes, you know, can get a little rowdy. Sometimes food can play a factor into that. So when purchasing my dog food for me, I look for dog food that has limited ingredients. If I know what the ingredients are in the bag of a dog food, if I know what those ingredients are,
like, are you saying
will
if you can read it and
read
understand what the word is, kind of?
correct. Because a lot of the time when you look at these ingredients, for example,
When you're looking at your paps.
I'm looking at the ingredients on my
You're like, where's the
goddamn
ingredient?
pap. You know what? There's no ingredients
It's
on
like
here that I can read.
water, yeast.
Water, a little bit of fear.
You might have better look. You might have better luck looking at the goldfish packaging if
Oh,
the dog.
yeah, here we go. Okay, hold on. Here
I was
we
like,
go.
there might be some ingredients on there that you haven't heard of.
Right, because you have things like, okay, whole wheat. I know what whole wheat is. Okay,
Yeah,
I can get down
makes
with
sense.
that.
Especially if it's up at the top. That's good. That's why we eat
That's
goldfish.
good. You know, okay, so maybe goldfish are actually like really healthy and don't have anything crazy in them.
Right.
But, you know, like for example, like if you
Look at the
read, I
bottom.
don't know, if it started giving you like 0.25
Cyclopolylene.
of xylazine something,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
Cyclopolylene. Yeah.
Yes,
You're like,
whatever the word is. That's when I'm kind of like, I don't know
Yeah.
about that. Was that like artificially created? It was probably artificially created, like, you know, most things
So
in dog food.
basically,
Because even
I mean,
the coloring.
I guess the same as a human would eat. The more natural, the more understood that you are with reading the ingredients, the more it makes sense to actually have your dog eating it.
Yeah,
like
you know,
almost
you have
common
to do the
sense.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's common sense. Do the research. You know, pick a food. Do the research. Does it line up with your lifestyle? I have lazy dogs. My dogs sleep at least 20 hours out of the day. They don't
Mine
like
too.
to run. I could barely get them in the water. Shy Boy just started swimming, but it took like a year to get him in the water.
He's like
you know,
you,
before
a
then
slow
he,
swimmer.
yeah, like me. Look at that. See, that's common with these dogs. You know, so I have lazy dogs, so I'm not gonna feed them a food that promotes an active lifestyle.
Yeah, if
No,
they're not
I'm
active, you're not going to
Yeah,
feed them no
I'm-
active dog food. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna feed them regular dog food, and I'm probably gonna feed them a little less than what is told to me on the packaging, because chances are that what is being said on the packaging is for an average dog who probably goes on lots of walks and blah blah blah. Where my dog doesn't like to do those things. He can barely catch the ball. Sometimes he looks up at you and says, "You know, I'm just not gonna catch
He
that
goes,
ball."
it's
lady."
over there. The
Yeah,
ball's
it's over
over
there. How
there.
about you
can
get
go
it and
get
bring
it
it
if
to
you
me?
want.
You know, so.
Tots, when we had Barnaby, little baby Great Dane Barnaby,
Oh yeah.
we, you know, of course, we bought into the bullshit. We looked up on the
Mm-hmm.
websites. We found this lady. She was called the Great Dane Lady, you know, and she had all this
course.
experience. And she suggested a certain type of food that it supplied certain nutrients and vitamins that were good
Right.
for maybe a large breed dog, blah, 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 you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Barnaby, shit. Like I think you were over at one point.
I was gonna
yeah.
say, I'm pretty sure
You
I
were at the
babysat
place
him
at
while
one
he was
point.
projecting diarrhea. out of
Yeah,
his
it was like
mouth.
projectile kind of pooping. He would like poop, like it would spray on the wall. The
So
poor
sad.
little guy. You know, and this was on like $80 dog food for like a little 30-pound bag of dog food. We were buying like 3 or 4 of them at a time to try to keep up with his eating, and it's like,
Right.
this isn't like
It's not working.
it's not good. We spent
No.
plenty of time doing it, wasted plenty of money. I was like, this isn't working for his little belly.
Right.
It reminded me of a ferret that we had when I was a kid. The ferret would like back its butt up onto a wall and fucking take a shit, and then the poop would like stick to the fucking wall.
Dog, do you want me to wait? Do you want me to hold on. Do you want me to tell you what your ferret was doing?
What?
It's called anal butter.
Ooh, it was supplying
Your-
anal butter?
Your ferret was marking its territory, bro. So I learned this working with mongoose because they're very similar to ferrets. When they mark their territory, a dog will lift its leg and pee. A rodent like this, like a mongoose or a ferret,
Block its walls
their
off.
anal glands will like
Freak out.
I'm doing the motion with my hands,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to
Nobody
remember
can
this is a
see your
podcast.
hands
People
going
can't
in.
see my hands.
Nobody can see you kneading the air
They
like a little
are
kitten.
expressing their anal juice onto the area that
Just so
is
you guys
now
know,
theirs.
Tots is doing like a hand out the window of a moving car, but like both hands in opposite direction. You know.
You really gotta get this on YouTube, dog.
We gotta get some video going.
So anyway, yes. So go back to your ferret. He was spreading juices on your wall. The anal butter. He was putting anal butter on your wall.
Oh, that was Paul's ferret too. That was my brother Paul's
Paul,
ferret. It was fucking.
It's called anal butter.
Paul, your fucking ferret was putting anal butter all over the fucking place, man. Fucking gross, man. Take care of your fucking anal butter ferret, man. This shit's gross. Nobody wants that shit around.
No, God. No.
So let's talk about maybe when our animals aren't around anymore. What are some certain ways? And I know that we both are kind of, we both have a couple of stories about this situation. Why don't you talk about what you guys did when both of those dogs passed, and what Tony did to, or had done to the remains to kind of keep everything around.
Yeah, so actually that one's kind of a funny story. So we had these two big dogs. These dogs were originally Tony's dogs. You know, he had them from puppies and raised them. When I met Tony, the dogs were already, you know, into their adulthood. And I took on the role of, you know, co-owner. These dogs very quickly became my dogs. You know, I was very quick to jump and start taking care of them. Even when I wasn't even his girlfriend, I was still going over there and taking them out of shit. I'm pretty sure I babysat them even when you were supposed to babysit them. I think you were supposed to babysit them, but somehow I ended up taking them out potty. That's a different story. So these dogs quickly became mine. Fell in love with them. One of them was a boxer. What? A boxer bulldog mix. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I lost my word. A boxer bulldog mix. So he had a bulldog head, round, squishy snout, you know, very so ugly, you know, face and only a mother can love. Yeah, ugly cute. He had a snaggle tooth that came out. The underbite was hideous. His breath stank. Everything, you know, just ugly dog.
Loved him.
The best dog.
We loved him.
We loved Obi.
Number one.
He was number one.
We called him number one.
Mm-hmm. So we always joked about, you know, if Obi passed away, we would want to try to keep his head because it was so ugly. All right. So the time finally came that Obi did pass away. Oh, shit. What do we do? You know, you have a couple options. So first we looked into having him buried at a pet cemetery in one of the gardens here in Hawaii. A beautiful, beautiful cemetery. They have their own section for pets. Really gorgeous. We thought this was going to be an amazing place to lay him down to rest.
So they do have this is obviously a movie that me and my brother watched when we were little kids. We saw, you know, where the guy had the dream where the kid gets hit by the fucking semi-truck. Oh, man. So fucking good. I guess spoiler alert. I didn't see the remake or whatever, but they do
It was so bad. Don't do it. It was so
bad.
I'm so sorry. I mean, if anybody did enjoy that movie, like, my apologies. It was so bad.
They're like, fuck Tots. This bitch didn't even like Pet Cemetery.
And I'm a Stephen King fan, man. I really am. I've read the novel. You know what I mean? Like, I really am. I'm a horror fanatic, but the remake to Pet Cemetery, god awful. Didn't enjoy it.
I like Point Break so much, I can even watch the cheesy Point Break remake, and I'll still kind of sit through it, and I'm like, oh my god, this shit's so fucking lame, but I'm like, still pretty fucking cool. It's still pretty fucking cool, and I know I'm lame. I'm like, I won't let anybody know, you know? Anybody calls, I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't watching the Point Break remake, you know? Not at all. I got other stuff going on.
Oh my god.
Too fucking good. So yeah, I mean, so I guess I'll let you get back to it. So you left off by saying you wanted to keep their heads. I guess maybe let's take it back from there.
These dogs, right? So these dogs were so ugly. We were like, we need to keep their heads. These dogs are little Frankensteins. We need to keep their heads. So we called the pet cemetery. They were like, all right, it's going to be like $1 million to bury your pet here. And then, you know, us being the people that we are, we were like, well, what if we wanted to dig them up out of the ground? They were like, oh, well, it's going to cost you double. And we were like,
oh my goodness.
No. why
They're gonna
we
get you on
would
both
want to dig
ends,
him
yeah.
back out, I don't know, and why that turned us off, I'm not sure. We're weirdos, I guess. I'm not really sure why I would want my dead dog's body back.
You just
So,
wanted the
anyways,
option. Yeah.
just wanted the option. Exactly.
You were
What
thinking,
if I
you had
lived
things
again?
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
different
know.
things going
I
on
have
in your
weird
mind.
attachments to things. Exactly.
Well, what if I wanted it?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So for some reason that turned us off, and we said no. Oh yeah, that's what it was. We wanted his head still. So by burying him and taking him back out, oh my god, it sounds so horrible. We thought we were able to keep some sort of remains.
Once people hear once you get to it, it won't sound so
Yeah.
weird.
No,
it's just sounded weird for the last couple minutes that you've been talking about keeping his head.
So the facility that I worked at the time, they had offered to do a cremation, free cremation, and most pet owners will just do a cremation because then you have the ashes, just like you do with your best relatives and your friends.
Put
you
it
have
in
your
a
ashes
necklace.
and you can travel or spread them.
Put
You
it
can
in
do
a
so many
necklace,
beautiful things with ashes.
spread it. I mean, you could say
Yeah.
with us kind of weirdos, I've known people that have done like scarification, put the ashes and different things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can do a lot of different things with the ashes of remains. But what did you guys
Exactly.
choose to do?
So what we chose to do instead is actually move forward and keep their heads. So the facility I worked at had a very, very large
Keep on
freezer.
saying heads. You keep on saying heads, Tots.
So we found a place not in Hawaii, on the mainland, in, I believe, Oklahoma. I might have to do some fact checking on
Oklahoma,
this.
Tennessee, maybe?
I believe it was Oklahoma. I might be able to just look it up really quick, but it was a
It's not super important.
a
Obviously,
very
people are looking-
well-known museum.
If there's any weirdos that are interested
if
in
there's any
doing what we're
weirdos,
talking
we
about
did
right
our
now.
research.
Yeah.
They'll know. They'll know.
You can do your research. You can Google it.
You can Google it. You'll find it. So we found a place that actually did all sorts of they did everything. They just took the meat off the bones. They preserved the bones in these beautiful, things, and they did a lot of things for research and for other, universities. They were professional.
So basically,
they had
remain
and
transformations. So I guess you would say you sent their bodies there.
Yes. So we sent.
You packed them up and froze them.
Yeah.
Because
We
you
froze
needed
them.
to keep it intact and not
Correct.
diminished, rotten, wearing away. I know it sounds bad, but let's
No, it
get
sounds
through it,
terrible.
people.
No, but you don't want that. Correct. You don't want that.
Gotta
So-
keep them in pristine in pristine shape. You send them out to a place, thousands of miles,
Yes, all the way across the ocean,
how
across
fucking
the
far?
country.
Hawaii is like
So-
2,000 miles, 3,000.
I think so.
Tots,
Really far, dog.
Let's just guess. Let's have a game real quick. Let's stop.
Okay.
No more animal stuff real quick. How far is California from Hawaii?
Oh my god.
I'm going to guess. You want me to guess first?
Yeah, you guess first.
I'm going to guess 1,600 miles. 1,600 miles, Tots. You make your guess. And then we're going to get on with this.
Write that down. Write down 6,000. I'm done. I'm going.
You're going 6,000? And I'm going 1,600.
Okay. So those are two very big extremes. So regardless, somebody's going to lose.
We're way off base, but
Yes.
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for other people that actually know. They're going to be like, oh my God, what stupid motherfuckers. This motherfucker, both these motherfuckers have been to both places that they're both at, and they have no fucking clue.
In my defense, I come from the generation of what we call IMAX.
Right. Don't even look it up, Tots. I don't even want to know the answer. We'll look it up later. We'll text each other later and be like, oh, we're way the fuck off.
Yeah, totally. I apologize.
So, Tots, Lo, she had a family cat. Whoa, I just spilled a bunch of beverage on me. Lo had a family cat that she had around for, I believe, 16 to 18 years. And when it died, I believe this was inspired by you guys and what you guys did. She looked up places she wanted to have her cat stuffed. And she called around places in California. And, she thought like, oh, I'll find somebody. And everybody was like, we don't stuff animals. Sorry.
It's hard. It's actually really hard to find.
And
someone
she's
who'll
like,
do that,
I
dude.
get it. She goes, you're going to stuff
Yeah.
a deer? She goes, but you won't stuff my cat? She goes, it's
Yes,
my cat.
Isn't that crazy? You
So-
can take a deer, cut its head off, and
Yeah.
mount it on your wall.
Mount
But
it,
try
have somebody
looking
make
for
a-
a taxidermist. Not easy.
Have
Not easy, my
have
friend.
somebody make a custom wood frame that's in a shield
Yes.
shape. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Have somebody mount it for you all
Mm-hmm.
professionally. So what she found was a guy that did. I don't know the exact terminology, but I guess it would be close to almost like a cryogenically frozen process.
Yeah.
So the innards were removed.
Yes.
So all the guts and bowels and stuff were removed.
Mm-hmm.
The eyeballs, I believe, were removed.
Yeah.
You know, all the soft tissue stuff. She had
Right.
the option to get like fake eyeballs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tots, open
Eyeballs
that beer.
change when you die. Did you know that? Your
Fucking
eyeballs
open that
change.
beer, Tots. Open that beer, Tots.
Yeah.
So
Another pack.
Right? Another pack. I was like, oh, you're getting wasted. That's your second pack.
It's only in my 8th pack and I
Right.
don't have a buzz yet. It's okay. I'm super hydrated.
But yeah, Tots got her cat cryogenically frozen, and it took about 3 or 4 months. And her cat was posed into a cute sleeping pose in a circle.
Yes.
And its little ears are pointing up, its little eyes are closed. It was based off of a photo that they had from when the cat was alive and was frozen in that shape and will forever stay perfectly in that shape.
In that shape.
And now we
That's-
have it sitting up with all of our other,
Yes.
oddities, whatever people want to
Oddities.
call
Yeah, we'll just call them
the other
oddities.
stuff that people are like, yeah, I'm not really interested in that stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, when people
you know?
come over, it's definitely... Well, like, people come over to our house, and the first thing they see is these 2 massive skull dog heads, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, under a glass case, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? And I was like, oh, that's Obie and Rocky. You know, we had their skulls preserved, and now they're these beautiful, polished heads. I was like, isn't that cooler to look at than this bag of sand? No offense to all of those
Right.
who have
Yeah,
cremated their
yeah.
bodies. Yo,
But
but
yeah,
each
just
their
something
own,
different.
you know, each their
So
own.
I guess Tots. Of course, like I was saying earlier, I talk right over people. We didn't even hear about the ending of the fucking skulls. So you.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think we jumped ahead. I think
forget. Well,
when
we
I
know
say
each
we
other, so
jumped
it's
ahead, I'm
hard
guessing
to
I
remember
talked right
that,
over
yes.
you. So you sent your animals out to Oklahoma / Podunk, anywhere middle of
Pretty-
the United States where they do
Yeah, I
fun
don't know
stuff
that side
like
of the
this.
country, bro.
And they're like, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
do anything to any kind of animal carcass. Fucking ship it on over on ice. We'll do anything you want.
And that was it, dude. So the dogs
this-
died. We froze their bodies. Tony created these massive coolers. So he took a bunch of cardboard boxes, put them together. We bought out every Walmart in town for all their ice packs, stuck those suckers in the freezer, created these huge coolers, shoved the dogs in the coolers, shipped them across country.
That's so great.
And got them back like 8 months
overnight
later.
cross country
We had to
homemade
overnight them.
shipping container filled
Yes.
with every ice package on the island of Hawaii
Yes.
to refrigerate your most loved animal's carcass.
Yes.
To ship him
Uh-huh.
over to the United States or to mainland to do what? What are they going to do to him? What did you want done?
So then they took their bodies and what they did with the body, I don't know. None of my business.
Yeah.
I don't care to know. But then their process was the beetle process, where they take the body and they let the beetles naturally eat at the flesh until there is nothing left. Once there's nothing left, then they take those bones and they polish, they clean them. They make sure that they're prime. They make sure that they're the quality of bones that you would see in a museum.
So
Because
basically,
this place is also a museum.
So natural animal, natural in wildlife
Natural
process
everything.
takes place.
Yeah.
Where if an animal died in nature, natural bugs would come up to it,
and just eat it.
take advantage of the nutrients that they would get from that animal already being dead.
Correct.
So it's not like anything negative
Nope.
is happening. It's basically almost supplying life for beetles where
Yeah.
an animal would be naturally cremated. So it's almost like adding nutrients back into the system. So there's no way that it's like a negative thing. But what comes out is a cleanly eaten, I know that doesn't sound good. A very
skeleton.
You're like, no, that's true. You're like, no, just say it. Yeah. No, say that shit. A cleanly eaten skull where there is just a perfect skull, where then they would maybe bleach it or put it through different processes.
Correct.
To clean up any residual remains that would be bacteria ridden or whatever. So it's not like it's no longer a carcass. It is just clean, perfect bone matter, similar to almost like a skeleton of like a T-Rex or something like that.
Yeah, or the skeleton that you find in your science classroom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's clean, it's preserved, it looks beautiful. Every
Well,
tooth
the
is
skeleton in the
polished.
classroom is a fake skeleton, so that's plastic.
Well, yeah.
Tots.
But you know what I mean? It's so perfect.
Right,
It's
yeah.
fake, dog.
But it's perfect like that, where it's like it's the actual thing. Yeah, it looks perfect. There's no. I guess what you're saying is there's no like, ooh, there's a chunk of flesh hanging. Like,
Oh, no, yeah. There's no chunkies left, dog.
ew,
There's no
chunkies. Tots, have you seen Orlando Bloom's dog?
No.
Do you know who Orlando Bloom is?
Yeah, he's the cute guy from.
I
Pirates
fucking
of the
barely know who
Caribbean.
he is, but every
Yeah,
fucking
it's
girl's like,
fucking
yeah, he's
Orlando
fucking,
Bloom, dog.
fucking super hot. Have you seen his fucking dog?
No, I haven't.
You take a second and don't look up the miles from California to Hawaii. Don't even fucking cheat on that shit. We'll find out later. Everybody else will call us fucking stupid.
Miles anyway.
I think
Okay.
I think I was wrong. I think it might be like 6,000 miles versus
I fucking know,
1,600
dog.
miles, but
Oh,
you're like
this
60,000.
poodle thing?
Orlando Bloom. Look up Orlando Bloom's dead dog, or I don't know.
Okay. Let's see.
I don't know what
Dog.
you wanna
Okay, so
search,
I put
but it's
dog
fucking
in it,
cool.
and all these like little poodle things come up.
No, Orlando Bloom's
That's not it.
dog, skeleton dog.
Oh, here it is.
So Orlando Bloom,
Oh, he has it in his house.
that
Yeah.
good-looking
Oh.
motherfucker, preserved every bit. Yeah.
Oh.
Every bit of his dog, and actually made it look like a
my
reconstruction of a dinosaur. And he has it
Yeah,
in his
see-
fucking living room. So it's like perfectly put back together, restored
so cool.
skeleton of his, I believe it was a greyhound, a full-size, like the big greyhound dogs. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. See, I don't have money like that.
Right. But I was just gonna say, that would be like the alternative awesome version of it, where it's like, oh, you can put it back together like a T-Rex.
Oh yeah, I don't have Orlando Bloom money. You know what I mean? So I could only afford the head, buddy. Okay.
Tots, have you
But
ever?
damn, that's fucking cool.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about the Orlando Bloom dog, but did you know about the Orlando Bloom dick pic?
There's a dick pic?
Oh, come on now.
What?
Really?
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm
Come on now.
I'm trying. You know, I'm a busy lady. I'm over here saving lives.
On the
and shit, all
paddleboard,
right? I
you
don't
should
have
be
time
into it.
I
You're
don't have time to go
Hawaiian.
around with
You're
dicks.
Hawaiian. You know about paddleboarding. Paddleboarding
Yeah.
dick pics. Orlando Bloom. Come on now.
Ooh, okay. I found them. Hold on.
Yep. Mrs.
Oh,
Perry.
hey, dog.
Mrs. Katie. Yeah. All sleeved up.
What?
All sleeved up, looking amazing, just paddling
Wow.
around.
Oh, I don't look like that when I paddleboard.
Yeah.
I look a little more
Tots,
scared.
I never.
No wiener.
Tots, I never look like Orlando Bloom paddleboarding. Let me tell you.
Oh,
There's
give
never.
yourself some credit.
There's never a time that I look like Orlando Bloom paddleboarding. It never happens. It's never come. It never has
Oh my
come. I don't know. It's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Katy Perry.
Wait,
and
who's
him.
this chick? Oh,
Katy
that's
Perry.
Katy Perry?
Yeah.
She's not looking so hot, though.
Yeah, good for that girl.
Yeah,
good for being famous,
her,
you know?
man.
That's awesome.
She kissed a girl.
Yeah, and now
did
you gotta
it.
look at fucking Orlando Bloom's fucking dick and his fucking cool dog skeleton. God damn
Yeah,
you.
dude.
Fucking let me come over and hang out. Tots,
Yeah.
what's your favorite animal movie?
Oh, my favorite. You know what? Can I actually tell you something?
Oh,
It's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't like animal movies.
Okay. Well, of course, because it makes you sad, because they always play with your emotions. They're like, oh, we're going to fucking kill the fucking animal. And then they're
Yes,
like,
always.
oh,
I don't
we're
wanna watch
going to save it. Like, well, of course you don't like it, because you're like, fuck this. This is real life.
Oh, no. Okay, but no, first, okay, my favorite
If you had to pick
animal movie.
Movie, show, fucking documentary, I don't know. Content.
Okay, so my favorite animal movie ever is probably The Secret Life of Pets.
Okay. I saw that at the drive-ins, I think.
Okay, so it's
It's a
an
good
animated
show.
film. It's really light. It's fun-hearted. But they have so you know how people have stereotypes?
Mm-hmm.
They have hit every stereotype for any dog and cat.
Of the
right?
dog, yeah.
Yeah.
They
and it's
definitely
just-
like
it's
did
so
some looking
great.
into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd have to say, as far as my most recent favorite animal-based movie would be Turbo. Have you seen Turbo?
With the
The snail.
Turbo was so and Snoop Dogg's in it.
Yes.
Tony and I watched that a few nights ago.
That made me
not a few nights ago,
smile
a few weeks ago. And at first I was like, Dog, I'm
hard.
not watching this movie about
Yeah.
snails. And then they were like, Snoop Dogg's in it. And I was like, oh, then it's gotta be good.
So
Dude,
good.
that little snail went so fast.
He went fast. He
He
fucking
went fast,
killed
dog.
it.
He went so fast.
Fucking Dwight, he's always told me about Surf's Up. He's always been like, I love Surf's Up. I'm like, dude, I don't know. He's like, that penguin, man. He had something, man. He
penguin.
always just wanted to just do his own thing. And I was like, Dwight, chill out. You know, it's all right.
Dwight, chill out. I thought you just called Dwight out. Love you, Dwight.
Right.
I can't watch sad animal videos. Like, what's the one with the dog gets shot at the end? Was that Old Yeller or something?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, what about the
that's nice.
Well, Tots, what
I
about the
didn't-
ASPCA commercials?
I don't like them. I won't watch them. What is that? How does the song go?
Fucking-
I don't even know
Sarah
how to spell the Sarah
I
McLachlan
don't even
song.
want to fucking.
I can't
I don't
do
even
it.
want to even. I don't even want to try to sing it because everybody
I
else
was
on the
gonna
podcast
try,
is
and I
supposed
don't-
to
but I don't
sing, and I'm
remember the
not
words.
supposed to because I've been doing my push-ups. So Tots, CBD treats.
Yes.
So my dogs
Yeah.
are getting older. Being in California, obviously. Everything, everybody's like, oh, just put a bunch of weed on it, or whatever.
It'll be fine.
Rub
Slap
weed
some
in
weed
the
on it.
rub weed in the wound. It'll heal it. Whatever. Like, I have, certain dogs of mine. Gracie, she freaks out on the 4th of July. The one
course.
thing that has helped is we have given her those CBD treats on 4th of July,
Yes.
and man. I guess it's not good to laugh about it, but it's like it fucking like chills the fuck out of that dog. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like that
dude.
dog is fucking like relaxed, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, explosions are happening. That's cool. you
That's
know?
cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Get a little vibration in the ground. You're like,
things
"Ooh,
are
okay,
all
that's
right.
cool."
We're good. You know.
Yeah, everything's good. Okay, so here's my thing with the whole, like Gracie, for example. Gracie is a huge, how much does she weigh? She's got way over 100 pounds, right?
140
She's
pounds
massive.
at least, probably.
Yeah.
Like, taking it easy.
Yeah, compare that,
a small
to myself
human, more than
personally.
you.
I'm 5'2" at 110 pounds. Gracie is much larger than I am.
Yeah.
But I am a fan and a supporter of using CBD, tinctures, treats, whatever form you get it in, THC as well, because I've also had the same issues that, you've had with a geriatric Great Dane. Their bones hurt. They can't get up very easily. They have thin limbs and very large, bodies that they have to support. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Are you going to take the natural route and go CBD, THC? Or do you want to keep burning holes in their liver? Again, opinion. You want to keep burning holes in their
Give them
liver
a
and
bunch
go
of
with...
strong-ass medication.
Exactly. Same with us. Same with humans. You know what I mean? And the same goes with anxiety. I have a dog that self-mutilates. For years, I thought that my dog had allergies. I thought that my dog had skin issues, blah, blah, blah. I put him on every pill that you could think of. Pills, shots, special baths, special foods.
Yeah. Just
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Everything. I spend so much money that I didn't have trying to figure out why my dog keeps chewing holes into his body. What it came down to is I have a dog that does have high stress levels. When he is stressed, he self-mutilates. He will start biting on himself until he bleeds. The only thing that I have found to actually help him with that is a tincture. It is so it's not a CBD, but it's a THC tincture, a couple drops on, a little bit of lunch meat or on his food, and he is okay. He's happy. He's active. He's not worried about the wound that he just, put on himself, because once he starts bleeding, then he really can't stop chewing at his wound.
Then it's an open wound that they're
exactly
trying to
treat
deal
themselves.
With, but it's been inflicted by them. My dogs, I have 2 Great Danes. My Great Danes are 8 and 10. Obviously, our dogs are getting old now, and it's getting tough to see. Where we might be on different pages, me and the wife, as far as like what we expected out of the dogs, or like how long they were meant to stick around. But it's definitely getting to the point where it's like one of our dogs just can't get up sometimes.
I think that when your dog gets to a point that the quality of life begins to change. For example, Rocky. We had a really tough time with Rocky. When Obi died, it was a little bit different because Obi wasn't planned. Obi happened instantly. He had a tumor in his throat. It flared up. It blocked his air passages. We needed to put Obi down immediately. Obi was suffering when he passed away. But you could
see that.
So,
okay.
Correct. So as harsh as it sounds, it was a lot easier to pull the plug on Obi when we took him into the emergency room. They showed us a photo of the x-ray and this tumor in his throat. At 12 years old, I'm not going to put my dog through chemo. They
said it's bad.
So
and you said, okay, yes. I get it.
I get it. When that doctor showed me the image of the tumor, and she was like, so you can do this. You can euthanize the dog, or we can take a biopsy of the tumor, keep your dog here in the in the ER, strapped up to a bunch of tubes, unhappy, not in his home until we get the results. Figure out if it's cancer, and then go through all these treatments.
All the bullshit that comes along with dealing with that, which is not comfortable.
Correct. So at that point, when I saw how big the tumor was, when Tony and I saw how big the tumor was, when we looked down at Obi, it was not worth it for us. Obi was 12 years old.
Not even worth it for you, but it wasn't worth it for your version of what it was worth to him. Yeah.
Exactly. At 12 years old, Obi had traveled with us. He lived his best life.
That dog fucking did everywhere. Fucking lived a great life. Yeah.
Everywhere. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about a fucking road dog, it's Obi and Rocky. Number one fucking road dogs. And so that was extremely hard on Tony. Yeah. You know what I mean? That decision.
He did really good.
As heavy as it was, he had the common sense to say, pull the plug. That's not okay. Putting my animal through this is not how anyone should be living their life. So he was able to say at 12 years old, let's do it. Let's put Obi to rest. Rocky was a little bit different, though, because Rocky had a very, what I would call, slow death.
We love these animals so much, and I don't think that's normal for a lot of people to kind of put that kind of effort or that kind of love. Some people don't necessarily understand it because they're just not that kind of person. But Tots, just maybe a couple quick little questions to kind of end everything out. Just like quick questions. Best and worst part of your job. Like, what's the first couple things that come to your mind? Best and worst. Go.
Oh, the best thing of my job is all the weird people I get to work with. For some
people
reason,
that
shelter,
are in the job that love animals, that are like weirdos, just like you, that have come from everywhere.
From everywhere. People who come to the shelter are people from all walks of life who probably have, you know, some sort of crazy background story, just like I do. You know, it's just these crazy characters that come in. We're all working at the shelter now. It's like, all right, cool. Our life sucks, so let's make sure that these dogs' lives don't suck as much as
But how
ours.
cool is that? It's like everybody's there, but it's like everybody's there out of the love for these fucking
What you do.
animals that
Yeah,
everybody
man.
else doesn't even give a fuck about
No.
or give a half a
No,
second
dude.
to. It's like, and these people are coming from all around the world and have crazy different stories and giving up everything to come to this fucking random ass island to fucking help out some animals that somebody else hasn't even cared about.
Pretty much, dude. And you know, and some of the people I work with, they're insane. Like we have we had a prison work release program.
Okay.
So a lot of our employees that work there were from this program. Who you get released from prison and you get to work at the shelter. You know what I
You're
mean?
good
You got to
or
report
whatever,
back
yeah.
to the prison after hours. You know what I mean? So and
Really
and
good.
then once they were done doing their time, they actually were hired on permanently at the shelter
awesome.
because they found like
There's
this
some meaning.
love, and so with love comes
A
they
fucking
have
meaning for
now.
life. Fuck
Yes, man.
everybody else.
So you
Maybe
Exactly.
this little creature is more important than all this fucking bullshit in life. And fucking people arguing over
that's what
politics
I try to say
and
to people.
fucking a line in the sand that says that my family can't come here. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck
Exactly.
everybody, but this little fucking animal needs love, and I want to give it
Yeah.
love. How has your job and the things that you've done affected your relationship?
I have had to learn how to separate work from home. For example, you know, we used to be very heavy into, you know, fostering and doing our own thing. These days, and even when we moved to Hawaii, we were very, very big into fostering. We always had extra animals in our house. There's probably always going to be an extra animal in my house due to fostering. But I have just learned to take breaks in between. For example, right now, currently, I don't want any foster animals. I don't have any foster animals in my home. I need to focus on my animals. I need to focus on my relationship, on myself. It is important to take those breaks. Where I'm at in my position at work, I am now a manager. I manage a medical department where I work. And sometimes I have to tell my employees, no, you cannot foster this animal. I need you to take a break. I need you to breathe and reset.
I need
because
you to be
now
on
what we're
it.
doing is we're
I don't
taking our
need you
work
to help out
home.
this specific animal. I need you to be ready to help numerous
Exactly.
animals
All the
and
animals.
make the
Exactly.
right decisions
And-
to.
And fostering
that's
is very, very emotionally draining and tiring. So I have to remember that for me and my relationship, and for my employees too, because I care about their welfare, you know, and their health. I have to remember, it's like we all need to take breaks. You know, right now during
Need to stay
COVID, you know,
healthy.
tensions are high. You know, stress levels are, you know, they're going crazy. We don't know what's going to happen next week, especially being out here in the islands. I don't want to bring a foster animal home.
Yeah.
I want to just concentrate on trying to take care of my
your
animals,
herd
because
that you
I have eight animals in my home.
I've got
Yes.
my own herd to take care of at the moment.
I have my own herd, you know, and my boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know, I have a relationship that I still have to try to
Family
maintain.
and people,
and
yeah.
our animal situation, and even my work, there has been times where it has taken a toll on our relationship. Whether I work long hours, I bring my work home with me, you know, or I just cannot. There's days that I just cannot separate. And Tony is like, it's not fair to me that you're coming home with all these emotions,
dragging it
and
home.
I'm in a good mood, ready to have dinner with
Which
you.
is like,
you know, so
which
it
Tots,
does get very
let
difficult
me
sometimes.
let me jump in real quick. I can fucking look at it completely from both sides. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like you're coming home with the shit that it's like, oh my god, how could you deal with this? But it's like somebody else who hasn't dealt or seen anything throughout the day
Correct.
that is just trying to
Yeah.
live their normal fucking life and just come home from work and
Correct.
spend time with the person that they love. Which, God, Tony is amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to say, you know, sometimes that guy just he should get what he
He's
deserves.
all right.
You know, he should be able to spend time with the person that he loves. Hopefully it's
Right,
me.
and-
Sometime soon. But
Hopefully.
yeah,
Dog, it's usually you, all right? Let's be real. Right? You're the one who spends the night with him, not me. I'm in bed while you're up talking to him, okay?
What can we do better as a community to be better pet owners? Just like
What can we be better?
The fucking biggest generalization. Like, what is the steps? Is it pulling over when you see the fucking dog running down the street? Is it
right?
Me personally, is it when you find numerous dogs and it's the same dog and you're like, what the fuck? I've found you before. And you go like, I know the fucking house you live at, motherfucker. I've already found you before. And you take it back to the house and you're like, dude, this is the second time I've found your fucking dog. Fucking build the fucking fence better. Like, close it in. Like, it shouldn't be that fucking hard. Why am I returning your dog for the second time? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
What is it that we can do as people? Is it donating online to fucking random people that find fucking dogs that need eye surgeries?
Like me?
I don't know.
You want to donate to me?
Is it just like that general kindness? Like fall in love with stuff you see online? Or what can we do?
I think that it is simple. And I think that it starts with taking ownership and taking responsibility for the problems that we have created in our community with overbreeding for profit, for example. For not spaying and neutering our animals, for always pointing the finger at other people. How are you going to point the finger at a homeless man who's trying to take care of his dog when you can't even get your dog to the groomers to get his nails trimmed once a week? You know what I mean? I think that it all begins with just taking responsibility
Nails
and
are
ownership.
Digging into the side of its fucking leg as you're talking shit about the guy who loves its dog on the corner, who actually actually loves that guy or what,
Yes. And and it really comes down to just basic humanity. We just need to be good people every day. We don't need to flaunt how we're good people. Yeah. We don't need to post it on social media. You know what I mean? We don't need an ego booster. We just need to try to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be each and every day and call it a day. And that's it. That's it.
You are deliberately forgetting who you really are.